Meet me for coffee. A special episode with my friends over in Texas. They're called Messer. How's it going, Maddox and Derek? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
Doing
having us,
good,
man.
man. Thanks for having us.
Cheers. I got a nice caramel macchiato here. I'm having this for the first time. I made it out of my Nespresso. You guys drink coffee?
Oh, always,
Oh,
man.
God.
Black Rifle
He
Coffee.
has no idea.
Black Rifle Coffee Company, veteran owned.
Beautiful.
We take, I have an espresso machine that we take on the bus with us. It's a, really big, nice espresso. And I'm drinking iced coffee all day, every day. So
fantastic. How do you take your coffee, Maddox?
Okay. Well, I just decided to switch it up just this week, but normally I do 6 shots of espresso on my little dynamic espresso machine. And then I have a couple squirts of some honey and like a splash of some coconut milk over ice. Some people get a drink of it and they're like, it's a little strong for them, but that's what I got to have to counteract all the weed I'm smoking all day.
And that's pretty interesting. Derek, how about you?
Man, I've been doing that. I got turned on to the Black Rifle Coffee, and they got some pretty strong stuff. So if anything, I do that with maybe a little Italian sweet cream in it, just a touch,
Beautiful.
And if I'm feeling like spoiling myself, I'll put a little bit of the caramel sauce around the glass before doing it,
A little fancy.
Get a little fancy with it.
Does the sweet, does it like bother your vocal cords if you have too much of it? Like, do you take care of it? Like,
well, you know what? I don't, I would never drink coffee really, right before I play ever, I drink a lot of ice water on stage, really. I learned that from a vocal coach who said that, ice water is key between songs because it cools your vocal cords down because they get so hot between the song and during the song that you have to cool them down. And that's the best way to preserve your voice. And so far I've been fortunate and it's worked. So
that's fantastic. So the band Messer, the origins of the band, I know Maddox, he's famous for cutting a mean hair, giving a mean haircut. He's an amazing barber, and a producer, by the way. But Derek, how did this all come together?
Man, you know what? As many moons ago, I had been in a band before prior to this. And then I kind of took a little time off, I was like, I'm going to live life for a while and not do that. But once you have that in your blood, you kind of always want that. So I got approached, by Javier, the old guitar player, and he had written some ideas and wanted to get together and jam. And then I had went to a hair show, oddly enough, at this hair school with a girl I was dating at the time. And it was really interesting stuff, seeing this whole elaborate show they put on around a haircut. It's not barbershop talk. And so then I ended up meeting Maddox and we started talking about doing something. And because he had, played music as well around the local scene. And, he came out and checked out some of the stuff we had going that I'd been working on with Kenny, our drummer, our Canadian drummer from Ottawa, and Javier. And then Maddox jumped in and we had the beginnings of Messer.
I remember seeing you guys live many years ago, many moons ago, Pop Evil. I believe that was like during like their rise to where they are now.
Yeah, that was the beginning of it for them, I think, right there.
And then Protest the Hero. They're from Canada.
Great band.
Yes. And then Black Label Society. I thought I actually I went to the washroom and like the drummer from Black Label Society was beside me and I started talking to him and I was like,
Jeff Babb, man, he's awesome.
Yeah.
And that guy he played drums in Breaking Benjamin too, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he did.
Yeah, he had come from another band like that tour. That was his first. The first show we played in Nova Scotia was his first show with them, I think. On that
something
tour,
like
if I remember
that.
correctly.
Yeah. And I remember Maddox. He had like the Black Spectre, and I have some videos too. I have to go back. I just watched a few weeks ago, so it's kind of ironic that we're doing this because
crazy
this last week. I know Derek was asked to be the front man for Damage Plan as well.
I was. My Dimebag actually asked me that. We were at a Ozfest or something. I think we were watching Drowning Pool. And, in the same fashion, those guys were always in, him and Vinny out there socializing with the crowd and partying down. We all were. And he asked me if I was interested in doing it. But kind of glad I didn't, be honest with you, sad situation.
Well, you don't know. And you also got asked to be the front man, well, the fill in for Lane.
Filling for Lane, yeah, for Lane Staley, and also asked if I was interested in working with Slash back when he was doing Slash's Snake Pit. So
incredible. And yeah, that must feel so good. I mean, like,
yeah, man, it's I've been blessed. I've been lucky. I've had a great life and a hell of a run with this music deal. So I'm just blessed that I get to do it again, and with a great bunch of guys, and we're spreading a good positive message. So it's fun.
it sounds like a good marriage that you can grow old with. It's
Yeah.
Every time I see Maddox, he looks even better now. He looks like Conor McGregor.
Connor,
ready to rip
I get
it
that
off.
a lot. I
McGregor.
wish I had some of his money.
Yeah, you might be able to make some of his money if you do those like impersonator appearances.
Maybe. Maybe.
So
I'll work on that one.
So the story about Messer, I know Kenny. I guess his car broke down, and he ended up playing in this band called Strangleweed for quite some time. I had a chance to listen to him, and then, and of course, I've met Kenny too in the past. Very cool guy. You guys have an awesome performance. And the last record with Make This Life, that really exploded in the States, and I heard it on a few radio stations up here in Canada.
Nice.
Explain how all that came together. I mean, you guys have been working as a band. You guys take it really seriously. You guys have your own little hang spot where you guys jam and produce your own music sometimes, or demo it at least. How satisfying was it to get to that point where people were actually excited to see you after hearing your music?
Man, every shows that, anytime someone knows us, even the last interview we did earlier today, that guy said he was supposed to have met us, years ago, but things didn't work out at that time. And he's telling me how he has his own playlist, his own Messer playlist. And I'm like, man, that just never gets old hearing that, that you've reached someone in that way. So
or that you left a mark, and I think really you bring up since we're talking about the Canadian, that tour, that tour for us was one where it was a very defining moment, because we kind of came home not necessarily with our tail between our legs, but realizing, oh, okay, A, we can do this, but B, we're going to have to step up our game and change our approach about how we're doing it, because we were still a little bit naive about the business of music at that particular point in time. And, coming back from that tour, we got with our producer, Chad, who, we had done a couple songs with already. And the idea is that we thought somebody would sign us and then we could finish the record and get funding. And we just realized how silly and naive that was. And, you got to go back and think, this is before GoFundMe's and Kickstarters. Like Kickstarter was just being announced, I think, when we were starting the record, and we made a Kickstarter video in an effort to raise money to do the production. But after we watched the video, we sat back and we watched it. Excuse me. We're like, how can we ask people, strangers, to invest in us, in this dream that we have? You know what I mean? And this, it's a dream. It's like I said, we're blessed to have the opportunity to do what we do. It's every day we wake up and we're all so grateful and thankful for that. But we're like, if we don't believe in ourselves enough to go all in, you know what I mean? To go all in, then, we're not doing this shit right. So we scratched the Kickstarter video. We never did the Kickstarter video. And we decided to dig in like a tick, as Kenny would say if he was here, and do the work. And that's why we had to get our own little studio and go in there and just kind of woodshed. And then our producer flew out from LA, and he lived with us for 2 years, basically, while we toiled and crafted, these songs, to try to make them, like Derek was saying earlier today, and he's right. Like, any one of those songs on that album could stand on their own as a single, you know what I mean? Which is why part of the reason why we're not doing another full-length album again, because I want to bring attention to every song that we do. And so we do them one at a time in the form of a single, then we can give them the proper attention that we feel the messages deserve. Because like I said, we're very message driven. You know what I mean? All of our songs have a strong message, and that's what's most important.
Absolutely. I think every song on any album should be able to stand the test of being a single,
For sure.
'cause
No filler. You know
you're
what I mean?
you're putting your heart on your sleeve, right? You go out there and if you want people to take it seriously. I mean, like I like Chevelle, but I think every one of their songs is fantastic. And there's a lot of albums that you and I could brainstorm right now, Derek Maddox, and you could be like, okay, that Alice in Chains album, this song could have stand up for the single. That Man in
Oh,
the
I
Box
mean,
could not have been that single, and the other one could have, right? So
yeah, when you
Yeah,
can
for
put
sure.
an album on and play it start to finish, you know what I mean? Like a great album like Dirt, or something like that, then that's how you
Facelift,
know it's,
man. Go way back. Let's do
Facelift.
facelift.
Yeah, it's you're talking about songs that will stand the test of time, and that was our goal, was to really craft these songs in a time, in a day and age where people were shying away from making songs the traditional way that we were still doing them, you know what I mean? And putting things together in a traditional sense, using a real studios, uh, with budgets that just didn't exist anymore. Like, a record label would never have given us the budget to do what we did, doing it
Not
on
like
our
they did
own.
back in my day when on
Not like
the other
exactly,
album.
not like they were throwing money away for that, but um, it took time. It took us a long time to craft that album. And
Well, it's because we didn't rush it.
now
We just didn't
we
want to
didn't
rush
rush it. We were trying to design a new sound. One of the things we didn't want to do is come out and sound like a cookie cutter band.
it. Mm-mm.
We've always prided ourselves on the fact that we don't, while we sound familiar, don't sound like anybody. You know what I mean? It's very hard to compare this band sonically to anybody else, and that's part of it. Although we can sit here and tell you all of the influences and where all the little tip of the hats to our favorite songs that inspired us in this album, because there's lots of them. You know what I mean? I won't say ripped off a lot of shit, man, but we definitely tipped the hat in a lot of areas to a lot of bands that you wouldn't probably think of, like Toto or
Well, it's hard not to these days. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's so many songs out there in the world. It's hard not to cross over.
yeah,
And
nothing's
do a part.
original.
Yeah,
Nothing's original anymore.
it's all one long song, man. It's got to get in where you fit in.
what does it mean to go all in?
I think what it means to go all in is just to say that I'm going to dedicate my life to this project, financially, emotionally, physically. I mean, this, I think, has to be a priority in your life in order to do this. If you're going to, it's so hard to do. You can't just half-ass this, and you can't just do it on the weekends. It's something that you have to do full with all of your heart, completely all in. And that's, not, you always say you got to be all on the same page, you know what I mean? And it took a long time for us to all get on that same page, where I think today, what we've got going on right now is more on the same page than we've ever been our whole careers, so it feels good, moving forward with the lineup. I think we're stronger as songwriters, as a group, as a band. We're better musicians. I mean, we're all just better now than we were before, for sure, but always room to grow.
Is it hard to balance the Messer lifestyle with the family life?
Yes.
There is no family life.
Yes, it's very hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, being a father, you're always, you miss a lot of
It's tough.
moments that, you wish you didn't miss, but at the end of the day, your family believes in you. And, I guess if they didn't
Key is that
believe
our
in you,
families believe in
yeah.
us. You know what I mean? And if they didn't, it wouldn't work. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, if anybody in my life tells me, "Hey, man, Maddox, I think you guys are beating a dead horse. You're wasting your life." The first somebody tell me, I'll quit. And I probably won't quit. But I mean, nobody in our lives have told us anything other than just, keep doing what you're doing. And so, I think at some point we crossed over so far to where it's easier to keep doing this than it is to stop. You know what I mean? That sound like an addict when I say that.
No. Hey,
I'm addicted to the shit.
Yeah, your heart's in it, right? It's better. It's better than like divulging yourself and stuff that kind of makes you go downhill. It's
Yeah.
an up and up. It's a great feeling. Making music probably inspires your kids as well, and they probably would want to do it one day. If not, they're already doing it. So it's very important. Music is important, and
Yeah, dude, 100%. You know what I mean? And it's a blessing, to be able to do what we do. It's really cool.
yeah, absolutely. You guys have a new single out. Let's talk about the single. What's it called, and the history, the story behind it.
Yeah, it's called Hope in This World. And it's, it speaks to everything that's happened to everybody in the last 2 years, the division that's, been created. The media, feels like they're fueling a fire to keep us all separated, and we just saw it as an opportunity to come out with a powerful message that says, hey, with hope and positive thinking, we can turn this around and continue to get our lives back. And that's what we want. We want to continue spreading hope and everyone else to feed off of it and bring it in. And, let's get this world kickstarted and get everyone's lives back in order.
How do we inspire hope? I mean, during this time, there's music, there's what message do we need to send to people to,
Well,
put their
I
heads up?
think one of the better things that, and one of the easiest things that we can do is just, like on social media, we can just stop liking all the negative shit. You know what I mean? Quit, liking all the clickbaity stuff and like the positive stuff. Follow some positive hashtags and put some positivity in your news feed. And you'd be surprised at just what that can do to affect your psyche. But more important, go outside of yourself and go outside and do something. Go see a live show. Go experience the exchange of energy, the human connection that we've been robbed of for the last couple of years. You know what I mean? The shows that we've had the privilege of playing since things have opened back up have been some of the most amazing shows. People are ready to receive messages and energy, and we're ready to put it out there.
Yeah, and they're ready to just put everything behind them and just let go. And there's a lot of stored emotion that comes out at concerts that you go listen to a
Pent
song
up.
or a band if you've waited to see. I know Tool's playing next Sunday,
Yeah.
and I'm really excited to hopefully go see that because I know it'll be in a weird sense of me explaining an emotional release for me.
Exactly,
Saying
man. That's what it is.
100%, man.
That's what music
Especially
is.
Tool. Especially Tool, because they're dialed in a lot of the same stuff we're dialed into with sacred geometry and just the aligning of frequencies to affect you. I mean, listen, when you go see a Tool concert, man, there's some real magic going on that's happening. That's really, you can feel it when you're there. You know what I mean?
He's coming through with Pucifer pretty quick too.
yeah,
He's
absolutely.
about to switch from Tool.
He was just here.
Really.
Yeah, Tool was just here, but now he's about to switch over to Pucifer.
I want to see a Perfect Circle. I want to see that band.
Yeah, that's another great.
I've seen them once, and they are great. But I mean, to give you something else, Billy Howardell has a solo album that he's about to put out, and we're going to actually get to see his solo project or his band this next week in Vegas. We're going to a radio convention called #Happens, and he's going to be there showcasing his new solo project to all the radio stations. So I have no idea what I have Googled. I think I listened on YouTube one of the single tracks on there. I mean, it's like a Perfect Circle, but different vocals, obviously,
And you also said Our Lady Peace, right?
Yeah, Our Lady Peace is going to be there too. Yeah, it's going to be cool.
I love those guys. I've seen them so many times in concert, and there's a little celebration up here called Oktoberfest. I'm sure you guys know that.
Kenny's told us all about it, man, a bunch. And we actually went and saw those guys play here a few years back with Kenny. I remember that. Our Lady Peace. They put on a great show.
You guys ever seen Tragically Hip before?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Kenny always tells the stories of those guys too, how they're huge up there.
Yeah, they're absolutely massive. There's a band I had earlier in the season called the Philosopher Kings. You guys got to check those guys out.
Philosopher Kings. I'm gonna write that one down. Yeah,
I'll pen you after this.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, do it.
The best like musicians. They broke off and they did one guy did the solo project, and most of them produced Nelly Furtado, and then they ended up playing in this band called Prozac. So Prozac, I don't know if you remember that song "Sucks to Be You." They ended up being called Simon and Milo, with Hollywood. They were signed with Hollywood Records as well, and so this was before the Gorillas, all the animation
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah.
You guys got to check those guys out. A little shout out to our buddies up here. But it was really refreshing to hear that you guys know some people, some bands, some musicians from up in Canada. I know we're up and coming, not that we weren't there in the spotlight before with Neil Young and, of course, Justin Bieber and Drake or whatever like that.
Well, you got Nickelback,
Dude,
right?
you guys got Brian Adams. You had the Kim Mitchell band.
Yeah.
Come on, man. That's some great stuff.
Our good buddy Reed Henry and the guys from what are they called now? They changed their name like 3 times.
They're called Tense Machine now.
Tense Machine.
Reed
Now, is that just the guitar players though? That's just what's the guitar player's name on top of my? Now am I drawing a blank?
And then what else?
Dane.
3 Days Grace.
He's singing now.
Dane Hartnell.
3 Days Grace. Yeah.
Yes.
Our buddy Randy Cook.
Theory of a Dead Man. I love Theory of a Dead Man.
Yeah, Theory of a Dead Man. Randy Cook. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can go on all night, man.
Oh yeah, you guys have a ton of amazing musicians in Canada. I think it's also really great about Canada is you guys have the great program to support bands and artists through the grants and through the radio station requirements that require you guys to play music. We ain't got that shit here in America. You're on your own, but the sky's the limit. But I've
always wondered for a band that's been on national radio like yourselves, like how much does it cost to get somebody to track your song through the whole country? It's a massive country, right? So
yeah, I mean it's a lot of money, to be on the charts and to be on radio. A lot of people don't realize that, but yeah, it is a lot of money. To be to get a number one, you're going to spend a couple $100,000, but just to even get on the radio, on rock, the budgets are small compared to like pop music and country music. You're talking country music, you're talking millions of dollars to get on those kinds of programs. But rock it's a little bit smaller marketplace. So, you can spend 30, 40 grand, do pretty good, and actually get really good airplay.
And exposure. That's it.
Exposure is what you need. I don't really care about a chart position or being number this or number that. What I care about is am I getting heard in good times and am I getting traction where I can build a market that we can come back and tour later on, because that's where we're going to make our money is from live shows.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So this is my final question for you. So we talked Canadian artists. You have one Canadian artist to collaborate with. We'll start with you, Maddox.
I'm going to go with Mutt Lange.
Okay. Sweet.
He's a Canadian producer.
I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to go with the old school Brian Adams. That dude turns out hits.
Yeah.
He does, but Mutt Lange does too. Yeah.
All right, let's ask one more question. What artists would you want to collaborate with?
Musically?
Yeah, right across the board.
Any artist, not just Canadian artist, right?
Yes.
Are we going to Canadian
artist.
Still? Canadian artist. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. I freaking love Nickelback. So I would love to do it. I love their production. I love their songwriting. They're phenomenal live, and they're really cool dudes. So if I could get an opportunity to collaborate with those guys, that's the top of the rock world. You can't really go any higher than that.
Those guys are great. Derek?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I would go a little bit crazy. I think I would say either Mike Patton, the great Mike Patton, or Jerry Cantrell, of Alice in Chains.
These aren't Canadian though. We're still.
Oh, I thought you said
Canadian, right?
I thought we're crossing borders. No,
we're going right across the board.
Yeah.
Oh,
anybody
crossing borders? Now I want to go back. Then I thought
you
already said Nickelback. You're working with Nickelback.
No, I was pigeonholed into Canada.
Oh,
all right,
okay, Maddox. One more shot.
I stand by it. I don't care. Standing by it.
Hey, the guy writes hits, man, and he wrote a bunch of great songs to help a bunch of other bands. So kudos to that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll stand by it. I don't care.
He changed the rock landscape pretty much. Him, Scott Stapp, who you guys have toured with,
Awesome,
it was a very revolutionary time in rock music.
Yeah.
At that point where Nickelback comes out and Creed comes out, and it's like a
Well, I think those bands really define what is active rock, and today active rock is really it's not, you know, like we define ourselves really as a true active rock band, and most of what you hear on active rock stations tends to lean more towards metalcore, screamy vocals, or genty stuff, or now obviously the vintage throwback sounds is really popular. So,
Yeah.
but there's very few bands I think that are like true active rock. Any Given Sin, I think those guys are a true active rock band. But yeah, it's a weird landscape for sure right now.
Well, what about a song with the vocalist of Pop Evil, man? That'd be pretty
Yeah,
cool.
dude, we talked about that. He and I we spoke about that a few times, so that may actually happen.
It's on the table. Yeah, it's on the table.
Sure.
I was hoping to hear Meshuggah for some reason. I don't know if you guys know those
Meshuggah,
guys.
Yeah.
Well, we'll leave it at that, man. Until next time, thank you so much, Maddox. Thank you so much, Derek.
Heck yeah.
Thank you.
It's Messer. Meet me for coffee. We finally did it, and we'll catch you guys next time.